Well, hello and welcome to the Wine Access Unfiltered podcast. If you are here joining us live and it's 3 o'clock on the East Coast, sorry, that's backwards. If it's 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, that means you're with us in action in real time for this very live podcast. I don't know why I've decided to do this to myself. It's always a lot of stress, but it's always a lot of fun because you kind of never know what's going to happen. And that's the best part of doing this is you know, anything goes in an episode like this. So, what is this episode exactly? Well, this is a virtual Napa Valley block party where I'm going to invite some friends of mine from the Napa Valley to come and hang out and give us their side of the story. Last episode, I talked about all of the travel tips that I have gathered from the last, I don't know, few years of traveling the globe and drinking lots of wine regions and learning hard lessons along the way. And I teased in that episode that I thought maybe we would take it back domestic because that was really more of a European focused show. And I teased that we take it more domestic because I love traveling to wine regions in our own backyard. And for me, my own backyard for a little while, about a decade, was Napa Valley. And it was there that I learned my favorite thing in the world, which is like how to entertain, how to eat, how to party, and how to do it like a local. There is really nowhere in the world that does parties and drinking in like the most elegant, lovely way, quite like Napa Valley. And so the three guests that I have here today are going to be talking about some of their favorite picks, favorite places to go, not just wine tasting, but also eating. We're going to be talking something I never thought I'd be talking about in my life, which is hiking and biking in Napa Valley. Turns out there is a great new biking trail to enjoy in Napa Valley called the Vine Trail. Um, so we're going to be talking about all of those things. If you are watching this in real time and you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. And if always, if you do have questions after this show, if you're not watching this show live with us, you can always DM us on Instagram at wineaccessunfiltered. So I'm going to kick us off with the podcast wine. Hopefully, those of you who are members of the Wine Access Unfiltered Podcast Wine Club have that wine with you today. And that is the Newfound 2022 Gravels California Red Wine. This is wine I'm very excited to finally get to feature in the club. I've actually known this brand and these people since they started in 2016 when I was just a little baby som at press. Matt and Audra, they're just wonderful human beings. Audra's going to be joining us in just a few minutes to talk a little bit more about it. But before she gets on here, I wanted to give you guys a little overview of what this wine is and more importantly, why I picked it. There is a reason. We talked about, this idea of entertaining, this idea behind parties. What do we drink at parties? Well, of course, in the summertime, we drink lots of white wine, but we also love red wine. We love there to be a little bit of tannin along the way. And so, what do we do when the weather gets warm and our palates maybe get a little fatigued? Well, believe it or not, we don't always drink Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa Valley. Sometimes we drink other things, and this is a great example of that. This is two people who live in the valley who love Cabernet, who have worked with Cabernet for many, many projects and many, many years. But I think, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for Audra, I think some of their favorite wines to drink are wines like this, which is a Grenache based blend. There is a little bit of Carignan in here, and there's also some Mourvedre. And one of the other reasons that I picked this is these guys are really focused not only on these quote unquote alternative varieties, but they're also focusing on vineyards that have importance, that have a sense of place, that have an identity, that have history. And so that's really what's in your glass here today. I love wines like this, and I especially love them coming from California because there's such a generosity of fruit. But the way that they're making this wine is really, really lovely. It's very restrained, it's very minimalist, and it just reminds me of the wines that you might see in like the south of France. One of my very first wine trips, as I've talked about many times before, was to the south of France where there's a lot of outdoor entertaining, there's a lot of outdoor grilling, and so the wines that we're usually enjoying with that food are these sort of Rhone style blends, which is or southern Rhone style blends, and that's exactly what's in this glass here. So if you're drinking with us today, that's what should be in your glass. I would recommend that you maybe chill this wine down a little bit. Get it, in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so. You can definitely put it in an all purpose wine glass like I have here, but also feel free to drink this. I hope Audra won't be mad at me for saying this, but feel free to drink this out of a tumbler. I think this is a wine that's easygoing enough that it doesn't need, a really, really fancy glass. I think it would love that and certainly love to be served at a proper dinner table. But this is also a wine that I could definitely see taking on a hike with me. I could enjoy it with lunch. There's lots of different things here that I would love to enjoy this with. As you stick your nose in the glass, definitely notice a lot of the florals that are coming out of here. There's a lot of lavender, there's a lot of cherry, there's just a lot of things that to me really speak to California. And, this mix of like herb de Provence and this like sun-kissed fruit. So there's lots of that going on here. I'm very excited to drink this with her. She should be joining us in just a few minutes. But before I get there, I wanted to talk about a few of my favorite places in Napa Valley. I'm sure I'll be sharing with you along the way, but everyone always DMs me, what are your favorite places to go to in the Valley? I lived there for 10 years. I got to experience a lot of different things, and a lot of things have changed along the way. Oh, it looks like Audra might be popping on sooner rather than later, and I'm very excited. She looks so cute. Hi, Audra.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. Can you hear me okay, Amanda?
I can hear you. I'm so excited to see you, and you look so cute. Can you like scoot a little, I think, to your left, so you're a little more centered? Because I can see
This
like,
way?
yeah, there you go. Perfect. Um, yep. Go back a little
Okay.
bit more. There you go. Perfect. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for taking the time. I think you're on vacation. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. I'm in the UP.
You're in the. What is the UP?
It's the Upper Peninsula.
Okay.
In it's Michigan, but my husband's from Wisconsin, so we're on
Okay.
the
I
lakes.
okay. I thought that's what I was like. UP sounds Michigan-y. I feel like I've heard this before, but it's so beautiful this time of year, right?
It's incredible. We're on the lake all day paddleboarding, and I'm gonna learn how to wakeboard tomorrow.
Oh, that's very exciting. Well, for those of you who don't know Audra is one half of the wine team or the founders of Newfound Wine. I was explaining earlier that I've had the pleasure of knowing you and Matt since you guys started this in 2016 when I was just a little itty bitty somm at press. But I don't remember you having the Gravels wine when you first started, though, right? It was just the single varieties.
Yes, correct. We started in 2016 with just single variety wines, some Semillon, some Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah, and then in 2018 we started making gravels, and we kind of wanted to make a wine that we felt like over delivered, a wine for the people, if you
I
will.
love that. I love that. I think that's kind of exactly why we decided to go with this wine, especially for this season, is we're doing a lot of entertaining, we're doing a lot of just like drinking at home or drinking on vacation. And to me, this is a wine that just not only speaks to that, but also speaks to kind of how we entertain in Napa Valley. I was scrolling your Instagram earlier, and I don't think I've ever seen an Instagram that looks so perfectly like a Napa Valley resident's Instagram. Like if you put on ChatGPT, like come up with a feed that looks like someone who lives in Napa Valley, it's the perfect combination of like nature, food, wine, and dogs. And I was like, that's it. That's what it's like to live in Napa Valley.
That's right.
Are you from
Amazing. Well, that's
California?
high praise. No, I'm originally from Florida, which yeah, I'm from Florida,
Okay.
which you would, yeah. And, my husband Matt is from Wisconsin, and we both have a similar trajectory in moving out to California. We both moved out right around 2004, and both of us got into wine in production.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Since I'm sure there's like many people listening or watching from Florida, you have to tell us what part of Florida, because there's a lot of different places in Florida that one could be from, and they all are very different. It's kind of like California.
Yes, I come from a long line of golfers, and so St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yes.
Um, and actually, I grew up in restaurants once I was old enough to start working, and I worked right on the corner from Burns. So my like neighborhood restaurant was Burns. We would go get the steak sandwich after a beach day on
Oh,
Sunday. It was so great.
so casual. I was gonna say, I was like, you clearly have like, you know, adopted the Napa Valley lifestyle so well, but that kind of tracks when you live or work next door to Burns. I've
Yeah.
never actually made the trip to Burns. For those who don't know what Burns is like it's like mecca for wine. Like it's one of the best wine lists in the
Yes.
world. It's the steakhouse in Tampa. It's epic. It's iconic. I have like one of their old wine lists that my friend Armin, you know, probably know Armin, gifted me from like the year I was born. Like it's been around forever. That's super cool though. But so living in Napa Valley, I'm sure has been a change from Florida, but it seems like you're enjoying it. And I think for people who don't live in Napa that maybe want to get a taste of Napa, what are some things that you think people should do when they're visiting Napa Valley that are maybe not the normal things that you would see on like a regular write up list?
I feel like, those write-up lists are great, full stop. But I feel like finding like the zoning in on the one winery that you want to visit and then asking lots of questions from the locals when you're in Napa, um, is a really big plus because you can just like just take the notes on your phone, or you can load a whole list up with insight, feedback, ideas from locals, because all we want to do is share our favorite things
Okay, so tell me
in
what those are. So
Napa.
let's say like someone's sitting next to you at the bar at Charlie's, where I know I can find you on any given Wednesday when they're open. I
Yes,
was going to say Tuesday, but I think they're closed
yes.
on Tuesdays. Where are you telling people to go in Napa Valley if they're not local?
Okay, well, Charlie's is number one. So ideally, I'm speaking to them there, so we don't need to cover that one.
Yes,
It's such great people, which I think is huge.
yes,
I love Cadet. I always send people to Cadet because I think it's also this really beautiful industry darling and
yes.
such a nice glimpse for people who are visiting into what locals love. And the vibe is very casual and very welcoming. So I love Cadet.
I could not agree with more with Cadet. I think for me coming to Napa Valley when I first moved there and I was like looking for a little taste of New York, you know, coming from the city, Cadet was like it felt very industry, you know, it was just the place where everybody came and hung out and put a record on and like drank really great wine, which is, you know, never in short supply in Napa.
Right, and not there's no pretension there. It's you see just people from all over the Napa Valley industry, and then like all over the country and world that are coming into, to have a glass while they're visiting. So there's there's never been a time that I've gone to Cadet that I've, been been bummed about it. Actually, my husband and I had our sort of impromptu like rehearsal dinner there. We just told everyone to meet
Oh,
us. We didn't ask.
I love that. I'm sure the girls were like super happy to have you as well. And they have a
They're
sister place
sure.
too. They have so there's also Chispa. If you haven't been to Chispa, I know you've
Yes.
been to Chispa, but for those listening, if you haven't been to Chispa, it's like sort of like more like mezcal. Like there's food there, there's mezcal, there's like full cocktails, and just like they just get hospitality. I think in a way that feels very Napa Valley. I think moving to the West Coast and the East Coast, and I don't know how you feel. Florida is always like a weird like I don't really know where it fits in, but there is this
Right.
sense of hospitality in California that like feels ridiculously elevated, but also so unbelievably casual at the same time. Like it's just effortless, and I don't know how they pull it off in California, in Northern California, the way that we do, but I just love it so much.
I fully agree with you. Yeah, exactly. It's and the food, look, coming from Florida, we didn't have, the fruits and vegetables in plenitude like we do, in California. And it's the first thing that I sort of dug into. And I like to this day do not take it for granted. It's and that every restaurant and every place is kind of a reminder of that with like their beautiful seasonal menus and beautiful seasonal cocktails even.
Hmm.
And so I just feel so incredibly fortunate to live here and to still find all of that to be, as magical as it was the day I came.
I could agree more. So we know we're cocktailing at Cadet. We know we're definitely going to Charlie's. I love sitting at the bar at Charlie's. I think the dining room is lovely, and I will absolutely sit in the lounge area as well. But are there any other like lunch stops that you feel like are must visits that maybe you can pop into between wineries?
Yeah, I love, oh gosh, there's so many. There's a brand new one that I'm excited about. It's Press's sort of new sister restaurant,
Yes.
Understudy. I'm kind of obsessed with the sweet and sour pig ears there. I know that sounds
Oh.
wild, and it's so good. Um, and it looks like Wes Anderson, like made a
Mm.
bakery. It's
That's so fun. So I haven't been in yet. I my fiance grabs pastries and they were delicious, but I actually haven't seen inside it. Are they going to do like like is it grab and go? Because I'm still kind of unclear as to what the vision is here.
So there is like a meat counter, like there's a full butcher, so you can get like, poulet de breasts and really beautiful kind of more elevated cuts of meat and
This is the most Napa
cheese.
Valley thing
And
I've
then
ever
but
heard
you
of
can
in my life.
totally, totally. And then but also there's a lot of grab and go. It's more like you order, it's like kind of right in front of you and they grab it
Okay.
and give it to you, and really beautiful coffee. And they also have wine. They have wine by the glass, and you can also get wines by the bottle. And sometimes you can grab. What I'm understanding is they're working on being able to grab wines from the press list,
Mm,
which is great.
that
And
would be
cooking
cool.
classes are coming as well.
Wow, this is very exciting. That's the thing with like, I'll do like a video on Napa Valley and like where to go, but then invariably somewhere new will open and I'm like, well, you got to check out this place now. And it's like, I don't know.
I know it's certainly not as bad as New York, but it's pretty great. We've got to.
That's true. Yeah, at least we're smaller than New York, and certainly less places to choose from. Okay, so we know where we're cocktailing. We know we're going to Charlie's. We're grabbing lunch at Press. Where are we tasting wine? Because I have my favorites. I have not
Ugh,
shared all of them yet, but I would like to know what your list is.
I love hearing your list. I always love following the places that you enjoy because I really do. It's so fun to hear where you love. I mean, I love Matthiasen. I
Mm,
just adore them. I think they're wonderful humans. Matthiasen is always tops of my list. I love Frog's Leap and I love
yes.
Fela.
Yes.
Those are kind of our top recommendations. We also love Gallica and Di Costanzo. Those are kind of our.
Excellent choices. Yeah, Frog's Leap. I have like several viral videos on Frog's Leap because it's just to me it was like the quintessential, most perfect Napa Valley wine tasting. Like it's so cute and it's so perfect and it's like leisurely, but they do like the perfect amount of cheese with the wine, and it just I don't know. There's just something about going to Frog's Leap that feels quintessentially Napa Valley. But I love that you threw Fela in the mix. I know you guys have some. So at least Matt has roots there. Did you work at Fela too, or no?
I did not. I feel like we're a bit on the periphery. We've had the real beautiful pleasure of being able to make our wines there
Oh,
both
nice.
before we got into our winery in the foothills and then after we had to evacuate because of the fires. So we've been welcomed there. And Matt worked there for 10 years. My husband worked there for
Wow.
10 years. So there, it's almost like coming home being there. And I
Yeah.
love those wines equally.
Fela's lovely, and I'm glad you included in the mix because that was one of the early ones that I went to back when I started my YouTube channel a million years ago. That was one of the ones that welcomed me with open arms. But it's the place I will always recommend it. But when people are like, I want to go to Napa Valley and I want to taste wine, but like Cabernet Sauvignon is not necessarily my first choice. I like other things. Like you go to Fela. Fela does a lot. They do Pinot, they do Chardonnay, they do sparkling. They do Cabernet, but like to me, Fela is just one of those places that can actually do a lot of things really, really well.
Yeah, like really quintessential, like Sonoma Coast Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays, wines that, you're happy to reach for every time you see them on a restaurant list, or if you have the pleasure of going to taste in like this old hunting lodge. It's just
Yeah,
really
that's
special.
cool. That's super cool. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of reaching for wines, I have your wine in my glass here. Thank you very much for letting us include it in the wine club. But I know that we drink a lot of other people's wines, but when you make a wine like this, I'm sure you're drinking it somewhat on the regular. How are you and Matt enjoying this at home? What do you cook with it? What do you order takeout wise with this?
My favorite thing to have with the gravels is pizza.
Oh,
We'll order
tell me
pizza
more.
from the station, and yeah, and we'll have it. The 2022 that you have in your glass, it has Carignan
Yeah.
incorporated, and anytime that we can get Carignan in the gravels blend, it's a Grenache primary blend, but when we can get Carignan in there in the vintages that it makes sense for us, it's both Matt and I agree, it's such a winning composition. And so, yeah, Carignan and just like with the Grenache, it's like perfect with pizza.
I think that is
Hi,
a
Josh.
perfect. Josh is here. This is a true block party. We are. I told you there would be some overlap. Yes, this is a block party in which everyone is invited. Josh is here. He's still confused about how this works, but that's okay. Can you hear us, Josh?
I know, but
I can hear
There
you.
you go.
my headphones are not working on this computer. Do you want me to switch to a different computer?
No, you're. I think you're fine. I
I
think you
can
sound
hear
fine.
you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have
you
another
sound
computer.
great. Oh no, wait, no, that's bad. I got feedback. So switch. Do something else.
Yeah, I'll see you in a second.
All right, I'll see you in a second. This is very classic Josh Phelps, I think. Also, to be like, I'm here, but I'll see you in a second. I got to do something real quick. Okay,
He
so
looks
he's
fresh faced.
he does look fresh. We love our friend Josh. Josh. I actually knew before I even came to Napa Valley, and he was like one of my first friends here. But I just loved seeing like you and Matt at the bar at Press all the time. That was like I have really great like distinct memories from you guys coming in. It was so fun.
So fun. I feel like, I don't know. I feel it's every single time we went into press and saw you, and even continued, along the path even to today. Everybody's
Yeah,
just, you feel sort of like, for lack of a better word, like a celebrity. It always make you feel so welcome and
yeah.
so loved.
Oh well, I love that it sits like central kind of in the valley, and so it always kind of felt like it became like people's like water cooler. It kind of like felt like like not a country club vibe, but like a country club vibe. It was just like everyone just came and hung out at Press, and so you got to see, like, I didn't have any nights off really, but I got to see my friends regardless because they would all come to Press and hang out in the bar and eat the bacon sample. This would be delicious, by the way. This one would be delicious with the bacon
With the
sampler that you mentioned.
bacon.
Yeah,
Yes, the bacon sampler. That was like my favorite thing. And also I love that you can go in there. You've been doing harvest all day and all you want is a gin and tonic from the bar,
yes,
and so you go in and you can be in just like like just grubby clothes. You can sit at the bar and it's fine. You're
yes,
with people and like
yeah.
beautifully like decked out and you feel okay.
That is like another very uniquely Napa thing is when people are like, "What
Yes.
should I wear in Napa Valley?" It's like, I mean, honestly, you could wear a cocktail dress or you could wear like your hiking stuff. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Like everything is acceptable behavior in Napa Valley, where you've got everything from 3 Michelin starred restaurants to like equally delicious taco trucks. Like everything goes in Napa Valley because
That's
everything's
right.
so delicious and people care about food. Do we have Josh back with us?
You have me, but this platform's not letting my headphones connect.
Oh, well, I like that he said this platform with like such a tone.
I use these like every day, but they're just not connecting to this. Am I
All
getting a
right,
lot of feedback?
let me see if I can turn your echo cancellation on and we can.
Sorry, I'm not.
I think you're fine. Your echo cancellation's on.
Okay.
I hear
What's
you.
up?
All right, we're gonna let Audra go back to the UP and hang
The
out in
UP.
the UP.
Where are you? Where's
With
the
lots of
UP?
like Michigan people who listen to this podcast. Michigan's a tough place to get wine from time to time. It's not. It's like Pennsylvania. It's a
True. We're like, we've got, I don't know if you guys want to see, look, check it out. It's just like can you see
oh,
oh
look at this
yeah, the
beautiful
lake.
A-frame that you're in. Oh wow.
Yeah. Just the lake is out there. So I'm just going to go down to the lake now.
Yeah, where did people in Napa Valley vacation? They go to the UP. Who knew?
I guess that's what we
Well,
do.
Audra, listen, thank you so much for stopping by the virtual party. Thank you for sharing the wine, and my best to Matt and the lake and the people of UP.
Amazing. So good to see you both. Thank you so much for having me, Amanda.
Good to see you.
Hi,
Cheers,
see ya.
Audra.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Josh, can you be any louder or no?
I don't think so. Is that how's
No.
that working for you?
That's kind of good. Yeah, we'll maybe we'll fix it in post, or maybe we won't. We'll see.
You know,
How are you? I haven't seen you
I'm
in a
good. How
whole
about
week.
you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back at sea level. Last time I saw you was at 8,000 feet in Aspen, which is always painful for many a reason, but
Indeed.
here we are. Yeah. So listen, Audra's not a local. She's from Florida, which I just learned. I didn't realize she's actually from Gulf territory, which is fun. But you are a local, and I think if I had to characterize my experience in living in Napa Valley, according to like a few nights, I think most of them would be like at your house where you or your dad's, like cooking and eating and whining. Like I think to me, when I think of like block party Napa, like not a party, but like, just entertaining and hanging out in Napa Valley. Like it's the way that you did it. You just like always made it seem so effortless. You'd like throw a steak on and like make a salad and it was always just so perfect. And I
Doing it
never knew how you
tonight.
did it. Is that what we're doing tonight?
Yeah, Carrie's actually coming over. Carrie from press.
Nice. Formerly of
Previously,
press.
previously from press. Yeah.
That's right. He's at brand now. Well, my best to Carrie. So listen, I want to know how you do it because to me, growing up in Philadelphia, it's a different vibe. Like, is it how do you make it look so easy? Like, what are you doing?
How do I make what look so easy? Living in St. Helena?
Like, the grilling and the salad
Oh,
making and the wine. Like, it just is it in your
it's
blood?
all
Like,
it's
how
sunshine.
does
It's all Sunshine Market.
okay?
Yeah,
That is the hack if you're
it's
coming to
that's
Napa Valley. So
Sunshine
maybe
Market is the hack indeed.
So maybe we start there. If you're coming to Napa Valley and you're staying for like 3 weeks because you're super lucky and you've gotten one of the 5 Airbnb rentals, is
Yep.
that your first stop? You go to Sunshine. What do you do?
Yeah, if you're staying in St. Helena, which is where you should be staying, you go to Sunshine. You get all the
Those
wines.
are fighting words. Okay, so sell me on St. Helena over somewhere like Yountville. Why does someone stay in St. Helena?
Yeah, I think Yountville's great too. I mean, Yountville's nice because you can Yountville and St. Helena, you can both walk around to all the restaurants and there's some cool tasting rooms and Napa has that downtown, but like that doesn't have the same like small town charm as the Up Valley towns. Calistoga
Yeah,
too. I mean, those are all. I'm partial to St. Helena because I'm from here, but I think that all those Up Valley towns have that charm and Audra, who you just talked to, we have tasting spaces down the street from each other here.
yeah.
So we encourage the day in St. Helena for sure.
I'm kind of with you. I was kind of hoping you might sell me on another area, and I've talked about staying in Yountville before, and obviously people ask me all the time, like, where should we stay if we're going to Napa Valley? But I do think if you want that truly like locals experience, that locals vibe, St. Helena's kind of it. Like it is, it's maybe not quite as, they like affectionately call Yountville like Yount Vegas. It maybe doesn't have like all the bells and whistles that Yountville has with the French Laundry and Bouchon and whatnot. But like there is something perfect about St. Helena that I just love so much.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny that you had Audra on and then you're gonna have Scott on because
Yeah,
Audra,
all St.
my
Helena.
dad's tasting room is right here where I'm sitting. Right down the street, you've got Audra's tasting room. She's in the same building there with Lang and Reed, and we were all talking about kind of like designing a day in St. Helena where you go visit these little tasting rooms, go to cook for lunch, and I actually brought this to Scott the other day and was like, you should like build this into your itineraries.
Oh, wait. Okay, so maybe Scott's gonna be on after here, but maybe yeah, take me through the day. So where do you think one should stay in St. Helena? Is
It
it the
it it,
Alila?
it,
Is it the Y Down? Is it
it depends on
Meadowood?
like your budget and
Yeah,
what you want to spend your money on, right? I mean, you could stay at the Y Down or the El Bonita and have a great
yeah,
stay in St. Helena and spend your money on food and wine. If you have the budget and you want to stay at
yeah.
Meadowood, like that's awesome.
We
Um,
love Meadowood, but also just keep in mind Meadowood's like you're not gonna be walkable into town.
right, and even like the Alila, like that you could walk from there.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean the Y Down's ideal, right? It's right downtown. You could stay there. You could get up.
yeah.
Um, you can go to you could taste with us. You could go taste with Lang and Reed. You could taste with Newfound. You could go to Long Meadow Ranch.
Okay, we'll
Um,
back up because you skipped coffee. Where do you go get coffee?
oh, I go to Sam's now, Sam's General Store,
Oh, that's
which
right.
is in my building, which is phenomenal. Carl's doing a phenomenal job.
Tell me about Sam's. I still haven't been in. I'm still a station girl, but I could be swayed.
Sam's is a guy named Carl Dean who's lived here for a while now. He has a little hotel and coffee shop in Calistoga, which is super charming and cool. But he opened up just like a few months ago in St. Helena, and it's like the new buzzy spot. He's doing an amazing job with bringing in really great pastries. They make really great, salads and sandwiches. Awesome coffee. They have a beer and wine license now, so you can have beer and wine there. They have soft serve ice cream. They kind of got it all. But it's just
Perfect.
it's an old coffee shop that's just like beautifully remodeled, and they're killing
Yeah,
it. So
it used to be the Napa Valley Roasters, right?
it did, yeah.
Yeah,
So you could
which was
start there. We're in the same building, so you could start there, go have your coffee, have some pastries or whatever, and then just walk right over, like 5 feet over, and taste with my dad or I.
and okay, so I actually didn't properly introduce you now that we're sitting down and halfway into the conversation. But Josh Phelps founded Wine Co. But also, your dad is Chris Phelps, and your wine is Ad Vivum from Sleeping Lady Vineyard, which has been on offer many a times via Wine
Yeah,
Access, and we had Coil as part of the Wine Access the podcast Wine
you
Club.
did. Yeah, I'm drinking the
Yeah,
Coil 2024 newly bottled Chardonnay right now.
I was gonna ask you, where is it from?
San Giacomo Roberts Road Vineyard. You're
Oh,
you're on
wait,
you're on
it's
the
not
short list
normally
of
from there,
you're on
is
the
it?
short list of someone that's getting all the samples right now. It is that this is the second year we made Chardonnay, and it's always been from that vineyard. Yeah.
I don't think I've had this, but I like the San Giacomo Vineyard. So you're gonna taste at the tasting room, which is next door to the coffee shop, and you're gonna taste what? Is it Grounded Wine Co? Is it Ad Vivum? Is it Coil? Is it the all of the above?
Only Ad Vivum and Coil, yeah. The Grounded
Okay,
Wine Co. is, I mean, our volumes are so much bigger that, I mean, that's obviously where 99% of my time goes. But Ad Vivum and Coil is like just I help my dad. But we're
got it.
sitting, yeah, here we just do that. Grounded Wine Company, we have some aspirations to have a tasting space soon, but right now, really just focused on the little brands here for my dad. But yeah, a
Nice.
great way to start your day. And then from there, you could walk down the street like a block and go taste with Audra or Matt, taste their beautiful wines. And John Scupney with Lang and Reed, who makes
Yes.
amazing Cab Francs, is in the same building
Yep.
with them. So you can kind of like hammer those out. Maybe there's a lunch in between. Maybe there's a lunch after. You go down to Cook, our favorite neighborhood restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, you've got Macaulay down the street here, Mac Watson. You've got Longmeadow Ranch has amazing pizza now in their tasting room, which I love. Make a little
You
day
got.
of it. End at the Charter Oak
I was
from
gonna say
rosé and
you
burgers.
skipped over the Charter Oak, which is one of our favorites.
Charter Oak and Charlie's. Yeah, I mean we've got these amazing spots here now.
They're perfect. What do you order at the Charter Oak?
If it's casual and you wanna do the burger, it's the best burger in Napa Valley, period. Um,
Okay.
but it's also just a super like awesome family style vibe. You can get protein, vegetables, rice.
Yeah.
I mean everything's just like seasonal and amazing, as you know.
I'm probably saying too much, but that's our wedding dinner. My wedding dinner
Yeah,
is basically a charter because it's so perfect. Like it's it's they do family style so well, and that's really what I wanted the vibe to be. Because to me, that is California. That's Northern California. Is like we can do the plated, we can do the three Michelin, and that's lovely and nice every now and then. But to me, when I think of Napa Valley, I think of like what can we do really well that's easy to enjoy together as a family and friends, and like to me that's Charter Oak. It's the meats, it's the kamachi rice, it's the vegetables and all of that, and so that's really what I wanted for the wedding.
yeah,
So it'll be fun.
love that.
Yeah. Um when you are not in St. Helena, where where are you sending someone to go taste? What wineries are like really blowing you away right now?
I have a tendency to like send people to taste with my friends,
Well,
um,
that's fine.
as one does, but like they're also the wineries that like I love and that I have attachments to. So I mean, I send a lot of people to Rudd. Um,
Yeah.
Sam Rudd's a
Beautiful.
great childhood friend. Beautiful estate, amazing everything. I send a lot of people to my buddy Jason at Cliff Lady.
Yep.
Um, for something like smaller and cool, my buddy Chris Morzoli does an
Yeah.
amazing job at his vineyard and just hosts you in a little house and very cool.
Yes.
Um,
We've done that together, you
we
and
did
me.
that together. And what I
Yeah.
really like to do is, I mean, you have like these places like the Kalaz Wine Collection and Acme,
Mhm.
which are these like collective retailers, but
Yeah.
you can actually like have a design tasting experience there too. And like Kay Laz does, you know, you could go and you could taste 6 kind of like under the radar cool wines. You could taste 6 famous cult wines. And that's also like a fun thing to work into a visit, because rather than going to those 6 wineries, you can have this curated experience and have access to purchase and collect some of those special wines.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of forgot that is an option. Like if you're someone that doesn't necessarily want to go to one specific vineyard, or you want to get a taste of something that maybe doesn't have a tasting room, that doesn't always allow you to taste, that's a great option, is going to like Kayla's or to Acme, because they'll sit down with you. And a lot of times, like I know especially for those particular ones, like they always get first access to new releases, to things that like you can't
Yeah,
normally get.
those two retailers probably have like the most access to anything new coming out of Napa, period.
Yeah. Yeah, don't sleep on the retailers. Like that's a and they because they do great experiences, and those guys really do have the inside track. Like that when producers come online, that's usually the first place that they go to show their wines to. And those are two really great people that have been in the valley for I mean, decades at this point, I think.
Agree.
Yeah. I know when Scott gets on here, we're going to talk deeply about what we're doing when we're not wine tasting, but I also know that you're like very into biking. Is there anywhere that you would recommend the more outdoorsy folk to hang out in
Yeah,
Napa
you know, I
Valley?
mean, here all over Napa Valley, like St. Helena and Napa proper, there's like amazing trails for biking and hiking. You know, I like to mountain bike up here in St. Helena, like above Lake Hennessy. There's an amazing public trail network that a lot of locals have donated a lot of money to make it a beautiful place to mountain bike,
Hmm.
but also hike. And then I know Scott does a lot of tours on the bike trail,
Yep.
which we have this amazing trail like between all of our towns now that you can like ride a bike from your hotel, whether it's an
Yeah.
e-bike or just a regular bike, which that's super cool too, because I think that that's very new, to be
Yeah,
able to
the
do
Vine
that
Trail's
safely,
great.
safely.
Yeah, and there's also for those who are like, well, I'm not going to hike, bring my bike to Napa Valley. We have you can rent bikes. There's like
Oh yeah,
there's
super
the bike
easy.
shop in St. Helena where they've got everything there. It was I forget who owns it now, because it was Trek for a minute, and I think it's still a truck shop, but
Jake bought it back. The original
he
owner,
bought it
so it's
back,
just
right?
me. Yeah, but it's locally owned. You can rent road bikes, mountain bikes, cruisers, anything, which is super cool. And a lot of the hotels have bikes too that you can get just to like cruise around.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to do in Napa Valley that's not wine tasting or eating, although it's two of my favorite things to do. You can certainly get up in the morning and do what you will, but I know nightcap is not necessarily a very big thing in Napa Valley, but like if you needed a nightcap, where would you go?
Depending on where you're staying, in St. Helena, you go to the Goose and Gander, which is a great
Yeah.
like cocktail bar that's kind of like in this downstairs space below the restaurant. Happens to
Yeah,
be like
that is a hot tip. If you're gonna go to Goose, you don't when you get there, you don't go up the stairs. You go kind of like to the left and around and go
yeah,
downstairs. That's the
and
move.
that's like next to my house. That's easy. But if you're in Napa, there's lots of options. I mean, I love Cadet's like
Yeah.
the cool bar in Napa, and a wine bar, but they have liquor now too. So that'd be my
Oh,
favorite.
they do.
They do. They have a liquor license.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was just Chispa that had it, but I didn't realize Cadet has a liquor license now. That's
Indeed.
fun and
Yeah.
dangerous.
Mhm.
And then favorite hotel in Napa. No, there's no like no price, no nothing. You're just like you want a really great hotel experience.
Oh man, that kind of like depends on. It depends on like where you want to be, and like what I mean. There's lots of different like places to kind of like areas to stay, whether you want to be
Hmm.
like remote or walking. I'd say if like you just if you could stay anywhere you want, probably stay at Auberge.
Really? I
I
didn't
mean,
think you were gonna say Aubert. Wait, like Auberge in Rutherford or Stanley Ranch?
honestly, like any of those properties, Auberge and Rutherford feels like the iconic like spot to stay. What's up, dude?
Yo.
Um,
I'm letting
but
Scott
it
in.
depends what you want. Like, I mean, Auberge is a little old too, so like I think like Solage and Calistoga is probably a little more of a fun vibe. Like if I were to stay
Okay.
there. So yeah, Stanley Ranch is really beautiful too down in
Yeah.
Carneros. All the
All right. Well,
Auberge properties crush it.
hot tips from Josh Phelps. Where are you off to now? It's 3:40 in St. Helena. It's happy hour, right?
Oh, look at that!
Sorry.
Oh.
Love that.
I love it.
I'm not off to happy hour yet. I do work to get ready though.
All right. Well,
I've got another good hour of office work, and then get ready for dinner, like I said, and
Where's dinner tonight?
just at my house.
Oh, nice. Of course.
A couple friends coming over, but I trying to take Friday off for 4th of July, so just trying to optimize.
yeah.
We'll see if those fireworks are happening.
Fireworks are not happening.
Probably.
Probably not. Yeah, fireworks in Napa Valley is a bit of
The
a.
St. Helena Star has already announced that there will be no fireworks.
Did you see that fire? It was big. It was a big.
It was like an explosion in Northern California, like a fireworks factory.
Yeah, not good. Not good. All right, Josh, get back to work, and I'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Thanks for the space age love, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for passing.
Thank you for letting me drink a lot of that wine.
All right. See you guys.
All right, the party continues with my friend Scott Dale, another St. Helena resident and owner of Wild Vine Napa Tours. Scott is responsible for a lot of things, but the thing that sticks out of my mind the most is he got me to go hiking and biking for the first time in a decade of
it was
being
so much
in
fun.
Napa Valley. It was it was a lot of fun, and I would do it again, which I think
I love it. Getting people out on the trails and being healthy and having fun in the Napa Valley is what we're trying to do. And, I think you're a good example of, all things wine, and you have a passion for the Valley, and hopping on an e-bike and going up into Bothe and doing a hike was so much fun. And I was happy to be able to take you out.
Yeah, no, it was super fun. And I think growing up in East Coast, hiking always seemed a little like, to me, it was this thing that you did it with like camping, and there was like gear, and it was like a whole thing. But like the way that we did it was like a nice, it was easy. It was not easy, but it was easy-ish. It was like,
it's digestible.
It was digestible. Yes. Like
totally.
I was happy to,
I've taken people out that want to do huge, long, I want to do 4 hours. Okay. Most people are here in the Valley to experience everything. So we want to give them that small bites to be able to enjoy.
Well, I think it's nice because I think a lot of people are considering their health when they, are doing anything. And especially, when we talk about wine and consumption and eating lots of food, the last thing that you want to do when you get home from a vacation is feel like crap. And I think what you guys are doing with Wild Vine is incredibly special and unique, but also more importantly, important. It gives people the option to get out and see Napa Valley in a really unique way. I think one of my favorite things that I enjoyed doing with you was the fact that like I learned so much. Like you took us through Bothe and you were like pointing out different trees and like showing different things that I'd never seen before, even though I had lived there for 10 years.
Yeah, bit of a nerd when we start talking about, flora and fauna and being on hikes. But there's been this theme of people when they come to the Valley and, we just never want anyone to leave feeling worse than when they got here. So our idea of having people come here and have really good exercise and experiences and being out with Mother Nature and the things that Napa Valley really has to offer. Anytime you ask anyone about what makes Napa special, they talk about the land, the soil, the environment, the fact that we can hike in the morning for an hour or two before the inversion layer even burns off. So you're hiking in the 60s and then we're having lunch and it's 92. You want to be able to have those experiences that people can be comfortable with and come back to Napa more often. And being adventurous and riding bikes and being along the Vine Trail, I think is really going to be helpful for people to feel good while they're here.
Yeah, well, and the nice part is like you take away all the guesswork. Like there's zero chance that I'm going to show up in Napa Valley and do it myself. Like I'm not going to rent I need someone to hold my hand and take me across the street because as you see me on a bike, that is required.
You did good. You did really good.
I did okay. It was all right.
Yeah.
There was some moments that were regrettable, but you guys do everything like soup to nuts. Like you'll take people out on a hike, you'll do the bike thing, and then I think what it's also really cool is we went to a winery that I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah, that's the idea. So we're trying to be the bridge or the next step for people that they've been to Napa and they've gone to their favorite places, and they've planned their own trips and they've gotten adventurous with finding stuff. What we're really trying to do is to get people to experience Napa in a whole new way. So that being, hikes or bikes in the morning. But really what we're emphasizing is being an overall like real hospitality tour company. Like for us, being hospitable is we're going beyond that level of we'll meet you for a hike, we'll take you for a bike ride. For us, it's, we can plan your entire trip. We have places that you can stay. We have luxury vehicles that we drive you around in. So it's kind of the full service is what we're really trying to convey. My wife and I have spent the last 15 years being hospitable, and now we're, doing it for actual clients.
Yeah. Well, shout out to your lovely wife, Nicole. I'm sure she's doing her thing right now, but
chasing the kids around here somewhere.
Chasing the kids. I know. I looked at the time and I was like, ooh, it's kind of magic hour for the kiddos. And I assume they're out of school. And initially I was like, oh, they got to come pick up from school, but it's the summertime.
Yeah.
You grew up in Napa Valley or no?
Yeah. I grew up here. I moved here very young, and did pretty much all my schooling here. So I grew up with Josh, and I've known Audra over the last couple of years. I love this gravel series. You said we're going to be drinking that. I'm like, perfect. I'm bringing that bottle of wine out too. Luckily, we have some.
You had a bottle of it?
I have this one. Also, what I'm drinking right now, because we like white wine. This is the Semillon, which is
nice.
Phenomenal. So kind of fun. We have friends in town, so we're going to do a little wine tasting for them while they're here. This is a perfect example of what we do. We have friends in town that my wife grew up with, and so we've done hiking experiences. They have their kids with them, so we did hiking. They went biking this morning, and we're doing just kind of fun. We took them to Charlie's on Monday night, and I will tell you, it's probably the best experience I had with Charlie's since the inception of Charlie's.
Really? Tell me why.
It was special. Obviously we have our favorites. We have our things that we love. But his new lasagna, which in his words, he said, how do you make lasagna crispy? I don't know the answer to that, but I know now how perfect it was. It was absolutely a perfect, beautiful meal. Started with the seafood party and martinis. It was just a good, complete round meal. It was wonderful to show people from out of town that haven't been here in a long time what we do here.
Yeah, that's so nice. I love showing people around Napa Valley because I do think it illuminates a lot for you that maybe you would take for granted sometimes. And I think when you can take them to a place like Charlie's, or even like the Charter Oak, you're just like, oh yeah, like that's like, this is why it's special, because you don't get to do this all the time when you don't live here. And there is something really unique about these places, and also about like St. Helena in general. I mean, we've kind of waxed poetic throughout the entire show about St. Helena, but do you think there's any competition in the Valley with St. Helena?
I think it has the heart. I've always heard that St. Helena is the heart of the Napa Valley, and it's had its setbacks and its inability or unwillingness to grow. And that's a good thing. And that's why that's why St. Helena was so special in the Napa Valley, is because everyone loved and respected it so much. And they wanted to keep it that small town. But we've had people come here, Josh has a tasting space here. Audra has a tasting space here. You have Acme, you have, Cook, you have so many like small, actual real family people that are here.
Yeah.
That as much as I love the rest of the Valley, it's unique, it's small, and it's a really like tight knit community. And we all support each other.
Like, what's crazy is like, it's small and it's family and it's friends, and yet everything feels so elevated. I think sometimes when you hear that, the thought is maybe, yeah, it's going to be small, but it's not going to be as good as somewhere that has maybe a little bit more money behind it, right? Or more prestige, so to speak. But that's not the case in St. Helena at all. Like, it's incredibly special and walkable and lovely. And it just, as I keep saying, like, there's something about Napa Valley that they do elevated and casual so well. You took me to several places that I had never been before,
Yeah.
including both at State Park, the winery that we went to, but also I think a really fun shout out that I'd never been into before was erosion. I have been
Oh,
sleeping on erosion.
yeah. I just had lunch there with my son.
Did
It
you?
is, it is a little, you know, perfect watering hole that no one really knows about. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got obviously Anna's, which is only for a certain time of night.
It's a vibe and a smell.
Yeah,
But
totally. But
you
what I
get your
love
hyper
about
local.
erosion, it's split into two. So you've got like the family side, which is ice cream. You can order food. I mean, having lunch there is wonderful.
Yeah.
But there's a full tap room with the owners. These guys they're new owners. They're young. They're in their 20s. They're huge beer nerds. And in the back, they have a bottle. They have a little bottle shop, which most people do not know exists, where
Yeah.
you can drink beer. I had a beer nerd come into town, and I said, I don't know as much as beer about beer that I know about wine. And he came in and said, this is legit. This is a real beer shop. And they'll get everything cold. They'll pour it for you there. They've got like, 20, 30, 40 beers on tap. They have a lot of beers on tap. So yeah, it's a fun little, secret spot.
Yeah, that was such a fun little find because you're right, like on the left, it's the ice cream shop and it feels a little bit more old school. Like you can do the Italian sodas, you can do the root beer floats. The ice creams are fantastic, and I think they're made with Strauss, which is
Mm-hmm.
the California derivation of
Local,
it. Yeah,
Sonoma. Mm-hmm.
the best. But then to your point, like they had a killer wine list, but then they also had killer beers, and you're just like, this is just, and the fact that you can, like, if you got kids with you, just a
Yeah.
perfect way to do
If
the
you
whole thing.
have to bring them here, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'll even do the, if last week I had a group of 10 couples. The ladies really wanted to hit, a few spots on Main Street. They wanted to go to Gather. They wanted to go to a few, shopping, and the guys just weren't really into it. And I was like, hey, there's a spot you can go, erosion, grab a beer. We'll pick you up there at the end. And it's a great little, split.
Yeah. And it's one of those spots that you never see on any lists. People sleep on it. I slept on it. I didn't know about it. And you were like,
Yeah.
oh, let's go to erosion after a bike. I was like, okay, it's great.
Go drink some
Yeah, it
beer.
was great. And then we've talked about Cook. You also, I would be remiss given the circumstance not to talk about the Cameo Cinema, the
Yeah.
country's oldest continuously operated single screen theater in the country that's been fully re-outfitted with the best 4K laser projector and Dolby Atmos and really lovely seats and great popcorn, and of course, like anywhere in Napa Valley, wine and beer.
It just doesn't get better.
It just truly doesn't get better. Are there any other spots that we're sleeping on? Like if it's someone's first time to Napa Valley, like where are you sending them?
Ooh, Napa Valley olive oil. People, they
wait,
live.
So what do you do there? Because I've heard people that are like go to Napa, but do you do an olive oil tasting?
No. Every group that says, I don't want to do lunch, don't book me at Charlie's, don't book me at Cook. I want to do a sandwich. I want to do something light. I just take them there. We walk in. When you walk through this screen door, it's like you're walking into Italy. We grab prosciutto, we grab mortadella. They will hand slice 20 different cheeses. I always have a bottle of something cold.
What?
In the car, dude. I'm telling you, it's the best lunch experience.
I had no idea they did all this. This is wild.
You walk in and you've got, the fennel sausage that they have every time. You can actually, which is very nice. You can order it now to be shipped back home, so you can get the olive oil that you want. But as we're sitting and we're drinking, a Napa Valley local wine, eating just like real authentic. The Particellis are an amazing family. They've been around here for generations, and yeah, it's a cool little spot. And I will tell you, there is a little hidden spot called Charter Oak Winery, which is next door. The Fanucci's. Okay. You're sitting in this art gallery that Mama Fanucci painted everything, going back to the 1920s. It's pretty special. There's that little Charter Oak street right there. Is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, because I've driven by it before and I've never stopped in, and I didn't know that Napa Valley olive oil did this whole sliced meats and cheese thing. So what do you do? So do you bring your own wine, or do they?
Yes. So what I
Okay.
do, so we have cars, right? We have a Sprinter van, we have an Escalade, we take people around, we drive them around. So in the back, I always make sure I have everything that we need in terms of, to go wine glasses, go vinos, of course, cutting board. So when I go in and I talk to Jules and I'm like, hey, I got a group of 6, great, awesome. And there's a Merlot soaked rind cheese that's fantastic, that goes super
Ooh.
well with like younger wine. It's a goat cheese. And then we'll do some like Piave, but they have the hand slicer there. So they hand slice everything to the size that you want. And then, like I said, mortadella, the cheeses, and then I grab a bottle of the olive oil and we pour it over the top. And it's very casual. You're sitting on picnic benches amongst the olive trees, and you're just having this nice little, beautiful, wonderful Napa Valley experience.
Scott, say less. This is awesome. Thank you for these are like very hot tips. I went into this episode and I was like, I'll probably know 99% of the places. And I think that like I've known a lot of them, but this is why we get together for parties, so we can exchange information.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about. You are obviously very busy for the summer, but where can people find you and book Wild Vine tours?
So our social media is a great place to reach out. You can DM us, Wildvine Napa Valley, and then wildvinenapa.com is our website, and all of my information's on there. We do hiking packages, we do biking experiences, lots of combination days, but then of course we do full wine experiences that we take people to off the beaten paths. I won't say that they're speakeasy, but maybe you've never heard of them before. Sometimes, I don't know. You got to break through that wall to get there. No, we go to cool spots. I mean, there's so much of Napa that is family owned, that is, whether it's multi-generational or people like Audra who are making beautiful wines that people don't know about. So Josh mentioned it earlier. I was listening. That is something we talked about. It's the easiest thing to do. So I am going to say, from this podcast, we can do whatever you want to call it. We'll do a bike tour that we did with you. We'll ride up to Bothe out of St. Helena. We'll do an easy, fun bike, and then we'll go back into town and we'll support St. Helena in the Upper Valley and show people what Napa's about.
Yeah, I can confirm that it was great fun. I can also confirm that I am one of the least outdoorsy people you'll ever meet in your life, and I had a great time.
You crossed rivers.
I did.
You did.
I did. It was the Oregon Trail in
Napa
Valley. And there was wine and ice cream after, which, I'm not gonna say was my favorite part, but it was a part. And also Scott's a great time. You are one of the most fun, upbeat, funny people I've ever met. And so getting to spend the day with you is also a treat. So you'd be hard pressed to find a better tour guide in Napa Valley, but that's
Thank
not really
you so much.
What you are anyway. You're much better.
I kind of am. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, you kind of are, but you do a lot of things. In addition to like fighting fires,
I do.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still do that.
We didn't mention that. Scott, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you get back to wrangling your children with your wife, who thank you for letting me borrow your husband. I appreciate it. And I'll see you hopefully sooner rather than later, dude.
That'd be amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Nice to see you.
Thanks.
I'm going to kick you backstage. You guys, this was such a fun party. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed hanging out with all of my friends, getting to talk with them. I know things are a little chaotic at times because it is a live show, but that's kind of what brings out the good stuff, is just, forcing people to get into it, get after it, kind of like you do on a bike ride, right? You just got to commit and go for it. This podcast featured the 2022 Newfound Gravels red wine. That was your podcast wine club wine. If you're not a member of the if you're not a member of the podcast wine club, you can find everything you need to join in the description below. It's $120 plus tax, but including shipping, and you get 10% off of all of your wine access purchases. So those wines will be delivered to you about every other month. I do select all of them, and every wine corresponds with an episode of the show. So obviously today we got to talk with Audra, who is one half of Newfound Wines. That's not always the case. We don't always feature the winemaker or anyone affiliated. We just really love to drink delicious wines and talk about fun wine related topics along the way. So if you enjoyed this show, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that help us continue doing what we're doing. But until then, happy 4th to all of you who are joining us more on the live side. And if you're catching this a little later, well, I hope whatever you're doing is in good company and with delicious wine. Cheers, guys.